On the morning of June 12, 2025, Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, prepared for its routine journey from Ahmedabad to London Gatwick. The aircraft, gleaming under the early sun, was filled with 242 people, passengers and crew, each with their own stories, hopes and destinations. As the jet taxied down the runway, no one could have imagined the tragedy that was about to unfold. Less than a minute after takeoff, disaster struck. The Dreamliner lost altitude rapidly and crashed into the Biramji Jijipoi Medical College and Civil Hospital, a bustling complex in the heart of the city. The impact was devastating. Of all those on board, only one person miraculously survived. On the ground, 19 more lives were lost in an instant, leaving families and an entire community in shock and mourning. The crash of a Dreamliner, a model celebrated for its flawless safety record and cutting-edge technology, sent shockwaves through the aviation world. Airline staff, passengers and aviation experts alike were left reeling, unable to comprehend how such a catastrophe could happen to one of the safest aircraft ever built. Early footage and eyewitness accounts painted a chilling picture. The plane descended eerily level, its engines eerily silent, gliding with no sign of fire, explosion, or uncontrolled spin. The lack of visible distress only deepened the mystery, raising more questions than answers. The world demanded answers. How could a state-of-the-art aircraft, maintained to the highest international standards, simply lose all power and fall from the sky moments after takeoff? Aviation authorities, engineers and investigators faced immense pressure to uncover the truth behind this unprecedented disaster. The mystery of Air India 171 had to be solved, not just for the victims and their grieving families, but for the future of flight itself. The world watched as investigators pored over every detail, determined to ensure that such a tragedy would never happen again. At precisely 1:39 p.m., Flight 171 began its takeoff roll down the bustling runway. The weather was clear, and the crew followed every checklist, just as they had countless times before. Passengers settled into their seats, some gazing out the windows, others lost in thought, unaware that anything was amiss. Everything appeared perfectly normal as the aircraft accelerated and lifted off, its engines roaring confidently. The jet climbed steadily into the afternoon sky, leaving the ground and the airport behind. For a brief moment, it seemed like just another routine departure, the kind that happens thousands of times each day. But the ascent lasted only seconds, far shorter than anyone expected. The aircraft's climb was abruptly cut short, and the normalcy of the flight shattered in an instant. The plane managed to reach just 625 feet above the ground before disaster struck. In the cockpit, warning lights flashed, and the pilots had only moments to react. Suddenly, both engines lost power at the same time, a rare and terrifying event. The aircraft, now powerless, began a shallow descent, gliding helplessly as the pilots struggled to regain control. On the ground, witnesses described an unnerving silence as the plane glided overhead. The landing gear was stuck, only partially deployed, a clear sign that something had gone terribly wrong with the aircraft's systems. In less than 2 minutes from takeoff, the Dreamliner crashed onto the hospital grounds nearby, causing devastation and chaos. The impact was sudden, leaving little time for anyone to react or escape. There was no mayday call, no warning to air traffic control, just a sudden tragic silence that left everyone in shock. The airport and the city were plunged into confusion and grief. The journey ended almost as soon as it began, leaving behind a field of wreckage and a profound mystery. Families and officials alike were left searching for answers. Investigators now faced a chilling question. What could possibly bring down such an advanced aircraft so quickly and with so little warning? The search for answers was just beginning. Investigators were stunned by the simultaneous loss of both engines, a near impossibility in modern aviation. No fire, no smoke, no asymmetric thrust. Both engines failed together, pointing to a single cause. Fuel contamination and bird strike were considered, but evidence quickly ruled them out. The landing gear's partial retraction hinted at a wider electrical or hydraulic failure. On the 787, engines power not just thrust, but all major systems. The faint whine of the ram air turbine, or RAT, heard in crash videos, confirmed a total loss of main power. The RAT's deployment meant the Dreamliner had become a powerless glider, with only minimal control left. The focus shifted. What could cause such a complete simultaneous systems collapse? The investigation was a global effort, led by India's AAIB with support from the US NTSB Boeing and the UK's AAIB. The top priority, recover the black boxes, the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder. These devices, found within days, were flown to Delhi for analysis by international experts. The world's aviation community waited anxiously as data was extracted. The successful download was a breakthrough, offering a second-by-second account of the flight's final moments. Now investigators could synchronize cockpit audio with flight data, hoping for answers. The silent aircraft was about to reveal its story. Would the black boxes explain the impossible? The black boxes provided a chillingly clear timeline. Both Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engines flamed out simultaneously. No warning, no gradual failure. The data showed a total systems collapse. Electrical generators offline, RAT deployed, pilots desperately trying to restart the engines. The cockpit voice recorder captured routine takeoff, then sudden alarms and the pilot's urgent professional attempts to save the aircraft. No mention of mechanical issues or fuel problems, just shock and confusion. The plane was healthy, then instantly powerless, as if commanded to shut down. The focus shifted from hardware to the aircraft's electronic brain. What could have told both engines to stop at the same instant? The answer lay deep within the Dreamliner's software. With hardware and fuel ruled out as possible causes, investigators shifted their focus to the 787's advanced onboard software systems. The complexity of modern aircraft means that, beyond physical components, digital brains now control almost every aspect of flight. This shift has brought incredible efficiency and safety, but it also introduces new vulnerabilities, ones that can be difficult to detect until something goes wrong. At the heart of the investigation was the Full Authority Digital Engine Control, or FADEC system. This sophisticated software manages each engine independently, constantly adjusting performance for maximum efficiency and safety. That's why the simultaneous failure of both engines was so perplexing. By design, the system should have prevented exactly this kind of scenario. Digging into the flight data, analysts discovered a fleeting but critical anomaly. Just after takeoff, a cluster of sensors sent conflicting signals to the computer, creating confusion about whether the plane was still on the ground or already airborne. This momentary contradiction was enough to set off a chain reaction. The software, unable to resolve the paradox, entered a state of logical confusion. In milliseconds, the flight control program faced a scenario it had never been programmed to handle, a digital deadlock with no clear solution. In response, the computer issued an emergency command to both FADEC units, instantly cutting fuel flow to both engines. This was an automatic safety measure, but in this context, it was catastrophic. It was the digital equivalent of pulling the emergency stop lever on both engines at the worst possible moment, leaving the crew with almost no time to react. The very system designed to prevent unsafe actions had, through a 1 in a billion software bug, triggered a disaster. The investigation now had a new focus. How could such a rare and dangerous flaw have slipped through the layers of testing and certification? The root cause was now clear. A subtle but devastating software flaw, not a mechanical failure, had brought down one of the world's most advanced aircraft. The investigation's final conclusion was stunning. A latent software bug, hidden for years, brought down Flight 171. A momentary disagreement between landing gear sensors during takeoff created a paradox the software couldn't handle. Instead of rejecting the illogical data, the code issued a catastrophic shutdown command to both engines. This explained the symmetrical failure, the system collapse, and the pilot's confusion. The bug had evaded all previous testing and certification. The crash exposed a new vulnerability in modern software-driven aircraft. Even the most advanced machines can be undone by a ghost in the code. The cockpit voice recorder revealed the professionalism of Captain Sharma and First Officer Patel. They responded instantly, working together to diagnose the emergency and attempt engine restarts. But the FADEC, locked by the software bug, made recovery impossible. With only 625 feet of altitude, they had seconds, no chance for a safe landing. The investigation fully exonerated the crew. Their actions were logical and courageous. They faced a scenario no training could prepare for, a digital failure beyond their reach. Their calm response is a testament to their skill and training. The tragedy reignited debate about automation, reminding us that pilots must remain the ultimate authority, even in a world of complex systems. The loss of Flight 171 changed aviation forever. Authorities and manufacturers launched a sweeping review of flight control software, developing new tests to catch hidden logic flaws. Boeing and regulators quickly issued a software patch for all 787s, grounding the fleet until it was applied. Pilot training now includes scenarios for cascading software failures, aiming to strengthen the human-automation partnership. The tragedy's lessons have made future aircraft not just mechanically sound, but digitally resilient. The 279 lives lost were not in vain. Their legacy is a safer sky for all. The relentless pursuit of aviation safety continues, honoring those lost by building a better future.